David's just made the point that the Indian growth model is different. It has a different model, which raises all sorts of questions. There are a number of questions to be raised about Indonesia. So can I just ask you, in terms of providing a more nuanced outlook across the region, what's your assessment of where the really bright spots for optimism are and where the doubts might lie?
Well, look, if I can start at the top. As you said in the introduction, I spent 7 or 8 years in Japan, and albeit that's one of our largest export partners and still one of the world's largest economies. I mean, that is an economy that remains very challenged, and if you wanted me to summarise that, I would say that it remains challenged and has been for the last 10 years because of an absolute lack of appetite for microeconomic reform. So perhaps we can just all take that on board. I think that China is hugely opportunistic and a massive opportunity for us, particularly in the financial world. What we have to get right, absolutely, is being large in the renminbi as that becomes an important and potentially even a reserve currency. However, in defence of India, what I would say is that 10 years ago, India was a country in which Deutsche Bank made no money, and today it is our most profitable single country that we operate in Asia. And albeit that growth seems to be relatively volatile between, say, high 8s and low 5s, we remain optimistic about India, Paul. I think one of the challenges they've got there is the structure of business. It tends to be very family orientated. It's a bit like some of the challenges Australia and New Zealand have had in agriculture, where it's sort of been cooperative, so cooperatively driven. So the question is, how do you tap into global markets, and how do you really access capital to drive reform in India? And of course, the other element there is government and the bureaucracy. But we continue to see enormous potential in India. Indonesia as well is a place that I think that most people in the financial community are very focused, A, because of its enormous resource base, and B, and in that sense it's a competitor to Australia, but B, a population of 250 million, a lot of whom are going to move into middle class over the next decade or so, represents an opportunity for value-added services as well. And then it's very hard. I mean, it's hard to go. I won't go through the region country by country, but we operate in all 17 countries in the region, from Pakistan and Sri Lanka through to New Zealand. And if we were to put it all together, we would say, frankly, in Asia we see aggregate growth of sort of 6% per annum, and in the developed world we're looking at, depending on how European focused you want to be, 1.3 to 2. So in a relative sense, it looks a hell of a lot better than many other parts of the world, Paul. Yep.